Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 4th edition of Town Hall Chat. I'm Christella Morat. I'm principal at Main Street Creative, and the right brain, left brain, I still haven't figured it out. Jen Perry, and Jen is the administrative operations guru here at Main Street Creative. She helps me stay on track and basically runs everything while I twiddle away on the computer. So, Jen.
Yeah.
How was your summer?
My summer was awesome. We did a lot this summer. We were like all over the place and traveling. We went to Ottawa and Blue Mountain camping, and we had an awesome time going on a family camping trip, actually, which was probably the highlight of our summer. GM gave us an enclave for the week and told us to go do something fun with it. So we went off to Lake Huron, to a provincial park around there, and just had a fantastic week with like no technology and just straight out camping, canoeing, having a great time. Kids just absolutely loved it. It was perfect for right before they went back to school.
That's awesome.
How about your summer?
Epically boring and somehow also insanely busy. We didn't do a lot. We didn't go a lot of places. I went to BC, and then I quickly went to Ottawa right after. Yeah, a little bit of travel for me, not much to do with the family. We did go to Canada's Wonderland and the CNE and a lot of kind of like local or more local stuff. And yeah, it was just basic summer. And I remember yesterday or a couple days ago, somebody was like, "Hey, what are you doing this weekend? Are you doing anything fun?" And I was like, "No, like I'm so done with fun weekends. I'm so done with the summer. I'm so ready to get everything going." So
yes.
Anyway, so speaking of getting everything going, we had to start Town Hall Chat kind of back up again because we took a hiatus from Town Hall Chat to kind of gather ourselves before school started, and I'm sure a lot of the people watching can understand that. I know my son Cash was just starting junior kindergarten this year for the first time, so that was a little terrifying.
And how did he like it?
He loved it. I was a little bit concerned. I actually had your daughter. People don't know this. You know this, obviously. But Jen has a daughter who's just going into grade 1, and she came over because Cash basically worships her. So she came over and explained to Cash that kindergarten is not terrifying and there's nothing to be worried about. So he was a little bit apprehensive, but that conversation helped a lot. And so he was like ready to go with bells on today, which
awesome.
And he apparently had a really good day. So
that's fantastic.
As a mom,
I have one. My daughter is like in love with school now, like absolutely this year. She was the most nervous about going back because she thought grade 1 was going to be really tough.
It's real school.
It's real school, and I think my son had her a little bit scared with it, whereas my son has already asked me, or has already said to me, I can't wait for next summer.
Yeah, I think every kid's different when it comes to school and like what they like and don't like. But
yeah.
So now that we're back in school, school's in session for the kids. We have more time to dedicate to work and life, and also to the upcoming BlissDom Canada conference. So this year, crazy enough, so Main Street is a media partner with BlissDom. So we help them create their website, and we've also done our best to assist in the digital side of things. And we individually are also community leaders this year, so that's exciting. So considering last year was the first BlissDom Canada for both myself and Jen, it's been kind of cool to have it come full circle and have us be actually part of the program this year and part of what's going on. So we're pretty excited. I know I'm excited. So we wanted to talk a little bit before we start answering questions and kind of chatting with everybody. We wanted to talk a little bit about what exactly BlissDom Canada is, for those of you who might not know about it, who it could serve really well, and also how does Main Street fit into BlissDom Canada and kind of like what we're doing and how Main Street actually came to be because of BlissDom Canada. So, so BlissDom Canada is a social media and blogging conference that focuses on the Canadian influencers and the content that they create. I'd say is my synopsis of what BlissDom Canada is. You guys can let me know on Twitter, if you think that's an accurate description. Jen, do you think that's accurate?
Yeah, I would say so. And then I think it's just sort of, for a blogger, it's like the must-go-to event of the season.
It's kind of like the blogging Grammys, but
Exactly.
without the awards and stylists. Although stylists would be a pro choice.
Yeah.
So now, last year's BlissDom, I had an awesomely epic time, and I know I like legitimately convinced you to go. Like you were a little bit like, oh, I don't know, I kind of blog as a hobby, and
Yeah. Like for me, it was very much.
To.
I thought my blog was too small. I thought everyone was gonna just think I was, a poser, and I really felt that it was gonna be sort of like a boys club, or you know what I mean, like if you weren't in, like everyone. I sort of had this feeling like everyone was gonna know each other, and I was gonna go and just sort of be on the outs and sit in the corner and by myself. And
I think at some professional events, that's kind of what happens when you're a newbie. You come in and you don't know anybody, and you're a little bit afraid of how things are going to go, so you don't necessarily kind of like mesh with it. But that's the great thing about BlissDom Canada, is that everybody is super welcoming. Everybody really makes you feel like you're meant to be there, and that no blog is too small and no social media career is too small. They encourage people who don't even actively work in social media, but maybe take part in it in different ways to participate. There's amazing sponsors, and the sponsors really try to like work with the bloggers and talk with them and have face-to-face conversations. I would say that the one thing is that you have to do your part of that too. So BlissDom comes 90% of the way, you got to go the other 10. So, which can be nerve-wracking for people, especially people who are more introverted. You're a little bit more introverted than me.
Yeah.
So how did you kind of
yeah, like for me, like actually we had a question that came up that sort of ties into that, basically asking, how long into your first BlissDom did you find yourselves relaxing and just sort of taking it in? And that was from our lovely fan, Home with Anita. And
you were.
she's I think she's watched every single one of our chats,
I know.
which is awesome.
Have some diehard people.
I know, I love it. So and that's awesome, because for me, like going in as somebody who's a bit of more of an introvert, what it is with me is I don't think of I'm so much an introvert. It takes me longer to warm up, and once I do warm up to people, that's when I sort of come out of my shell and I become more of sort of an outgoing person. But it takes me a little longer. I sort of I find when I'm in a new situation, I'm the one sort of surveying the room and looking I know to just sort of hang out with. So I think I followed the first day when we arrived. I think I followed you around like a little puppy, because I didn't know anybody, and well, not many. Luckily we had met up with a few people beforehand locally, and so I knew a couple familiar faces, but I really was just sort of taking it in. So I would say it was probably by the next morning was when I sort of started to open up, because that first night after we did sort of the welcome, the newbie thing, and everybody got to know each other, and we did like the sponsors meet and treat. It was when you're going to breakfast, or you're walking down the hallways and people are saying hi to you because they remember you from the night before, and it's like, oh wow, that's really cool. And that's sort of when I sort of began to come out. It just took me until that next morning, I think.
I totally hear that, and I think that there was at some point too where we were together in the beginning, and you kind of glom onto your crew in a sense, so like who that's going to be there, and like let's hang out. And then after probably the first day of being there, you've already like made enough friends and met enough people that you kind of turn around and I'm like, where'd Jen go? Like, oh, is she okay? Like, I hope she's back. I just realized that you were kind of off meeting your own people, and it was awesome because. Not that I don't love hanging out with you, but we do live 45 feet away from each other, and I can see you anytime I want. So hanging out with new people obviously is the goal. So yeah. It was very fun, and additionally to fun, it was also super motivating and inspirational. And I think that's part of the reason this year that we get to be community leaders. And if you don't know what a community leader at BlissDom is, they're people who are sort of like BlissDom alumni at BlissDom Canada, and they we actually, so both myself and Jen and Kyla Cornish and the 20 other BlissDom community leaders that are on the website, are there to kind of help guide the newbies and welcome you. And if you're feeling a little bit timid, don't be afraid to tweet us and be like, yo, I'm trapped in a closet at the hotel and I don't know how to get out. Please come save me, and we'll come save you. Just keep your phone on you all the time in case, you know, some random closet attacks you and you get stuck inside. I'm just kidding. But no, it'll be fun. And I think everybody experiences it differently, but we all come away with the same feeling, in the sense of feeling motivated, feeling inspired, learning a lot from people who you really resonate with, or who really resonate with you, and just feeling like confident in yourself as a writer or content creator, and being able to take that and apply it in different ways. So I know, for me, after BlissDom, I kind of had to step back and look at sort of like the market from a business perspective, and in having lots and lots of conversations with Jen and a few of our peers, we ended up coming up with Main Street. And so, in a way, BlissDom helped us come up with Main Street. I think it gave us a bird's eye view of sort of like what was happening in the industry, and that you know, a lot of businesses, in the large sense of the term, like corporations, some of the amazing sponsors that were there last year, Chevrolet, Tim Hortons, you know, we're excited about working with bloggers and content creators, but maybe the smaller businesses sort of miss the boat in that sense. They don't really know where to start. So that for me was like, oh, we can help you with that.
I remember the moment we had the first conversation about Main Street. We were in the pool. It was our last day there. And we decided to go for a swim before the PJ party.
Yeah.
And we were in the pool, and you came over to me, and you were like, I have this awesome idea. And you just started talking about it, and I was like, oh, my God, this is genius. And we were still at BlissDom.
Genius. Genius moments. They only happen at BlissDom. Haha.
I think for me, the most surprising thing about being sort of a newbie at BlissDom, and for me, it wasn't just being a newbie at BlissDom. I truly was a newbie blogger as well. I had been around as a blogger for a while, but I had never really associated with other bloggers. So that was probably part of my anxiety.
Yourself as a professional blogger.
No, I was just doing it, and I didn't actually have a clue how many bloggers there were out there. It was just something I was doing on the side, and I wasn't really sure what I was doing with it. So for me, the most surprising thing was how incredibly supportive and helpful bloggers are in general, and that's just something I learned. Like, I couldn't believe it. You go to any other this type of event for any other type of, you know, business, and it's going to be a bit of a competition. People be nice to each other, but everybody's sort of, you know, has that competing with each other. And if you asked somebody straight out, how much would you charge for something, you'd probably get a lot of people looking at you funny. But, you know, at BlissDom, you know, or just talking with other bloggers, they're very open, and they'll tell you that, you know, the things you need to know to succeed, which is fantastic.
Yeah. So Karen asked on our Google Live Hangouts page, what if you're a blogger wannabe? So what about people who haven't even actually started blogs yet, but maybe follow the blogging world and have, you know, fantasized about the idea of being a blogger? How can they, what can they take away from BlissDom if they wanted to come?
Oh, I think the most genius thing you could do was to go to BlissDom before starting your blog, because you're going in fresh.
Yeah, it's like it's more like going to university before you start your career as a medical professional.
So let's be realistic here. No, I'm not going to say all, because I can't speak for all, but I would say a large number of us left BlissDom and immediately went and changed everything about our site. So
and had amazing results because of it.
Exactly, so because you basically went and found out all the things. I came home and found out all the things I was doing wrong. I was like, oh my God, almost everything I'm doing wrong. So it was just, for me, it was like immediately I just wanted to, I changed everything. So going in as sort of if you want to call it a wannabe blogger, that's fantastic, because you're going to go in and you're going to get that information right away, and you're going to start out right the first time, which is fantastic.
And I think it's also a wonderful place for people who want to utilize the blogging industry in their business or their careers and don't really have a great grasp of how it all works. You know, whether you work in PR or you work at a brand that wants to work with more bloggers, it's a great way to go in and meet people and network, and learn the tricks of the trade and learn what bloggers like and don't like how to successfully approach a blogger about doing a campaign, you would think would be really easy. But as we know, a lot of bloggers get that "Hi, mommy blogger" form email that makes them feel like they're chump change. And learning how to approach that from that perspective, I think, is also super cool, because you can relate with them on a new level once you've gone to them, and definitely use that to help further your knowledge on the situation. So
yeah, absolutely.
And then, Sue, next we have a little segment called 5 Things You Should Know If It's Your First Time at BlissDom Canada.
All right.
Dun, dun, dun. So, do you want to do any of these?
You have the list, so you're going to have to do them.
Okay. So you can elaborate then.
Yes.
So the first one is, get used to staring at everybody's chest.
Yes.
That might sound bad, but if you've got one of these doohickeys on you all the time, everybody wants to know your name and your Twitter handle. So
and if we're looking at your chest, we're probably reading your badge and not checking out your rack, or maybe we're doing both.
Or both. Either way, not really that bad. But to be honest, yes. People will be looking at your badge and make sure that it's always facing forward. I know sometimes I would sort of sneakily walk up to people and peer at their badge, and I couldn't read it, and I was like, "Hello," and then I'd be like, "Just turn around."
And if you're anything like me, I'm horrible with people's names and faces. So for me, it was very much looking at their badge and checking out their Twitter ID on their, what their, Twitter name was on their badge, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, you're that person,"
Yeah.
Because a lot of times faces and names, I have no idea. Even blog names, sometimes you're like, "Oh, I don't remember."
So pay attention to your BlissDom lanyard and how it's facing and how it's interacting with people, because it will be calling as much attention as you do, in a sense. And people also want to know who they're talking to. Sometimes you'll see someone's badge and go, "Oh my God, that's so-and-so blogger," and it's kind of a cool icebreaker. Like, "Oh hey, I read your blog, by the way. I like you, fangirl."
Yes.
I fangirled over a handful of people at BlissDom last year, and that's another kind of little point that you can make is, don't be afraid to fangirl or fanboy at BlissDom Canada. So if you have someone whose blog you habituate or love, who as a personality you love, say, the guys from Life of Dad, or Chris from Canadian Dad, or Kyla from Mommy's Weird, or Julie Noel, or all the Blunt Moms, because we're awesome. Don't be afraid to approach people, because it's not like when we're out grocery shopping every day we're being attacked by people. That doesn't happen to bloggers usually.
It should.
It totally should. I have been approached by people locally going, "Are you so-and-so from Crawl the Line?" And I'm like, yes. Awkward. But yes, it is cool to be recognized for the work that you do. So look at it that way when you want to talk to someone who you love as a blogger or a personality. They want to know that you love them, so it's okay to tell them. Okay.
Yeah. And it does feel cool when somebody say something to you, like, "Oh, I read." Like, I had one person who had actually read something I wrote, and they were all excited about it, and I was like, "Really? Oh my goodness."
And the coolest thing, you might leave a lasting impression with that person, and then they will go on and read your blog or check your stuff out, and then all of a sudden, the coolest blogger ever is talking about your stuff because they think it's cool, and mutual admiration. Hello. So it's pretty good. Number 3, take notes. We know Anita's got this one covered because she takes notes every week. But for everybody else, I know sometimes in the kind of craziness of the whole weekend, sorry, this keeps banging. I'm going to take it off. People kind of, they want to take notes and they bring places, but I see some people, they'll take notes on their iPad or whatever. Bring a notepad. Take as many notes as you can. Not only will it help you absorb the information better, but you're getting so much information plugged into your brain at one time that it's impossible to remember it all, unless you're like Stephen Hawking or something. So write it down. See, Notepads all the time.
Oh
Notepads.
yeah, I have one too. Woohoo! I still refer back to my notepad that I took at BlissDom last year because there was some things, especially when it comes for me, the one that my notes really come in handy for was there's that session. I think you and I both did it. In it was about creativity and sort of how to get going if you can't think of what you're going to write about and the different things you can do. And for me, that was sort of a cool one because whenever I sort of have a memory block and I'm not sure how to write, I actually go back to those notes because there was some really great tips and you won't remember everything when you
Yeah,
get
it's
home.
hard to
So.
remember sometimes the actionable things that you learn. So being able to refer to your notes later. And speaking about those creativity sessions that we did last year, I hope there's stuff like it this year as well because those sessions really helped me figure out not just kind of like as a blogger what I was doing at BlissDom Canada, but as a person, kind of where I fit into my professional silo. So, where Jen's super organized and stays on top of everything, I'm like kind of organized and kind of really good at design. I'm a little bit. Anyway, but I was able to kind of pull all those elements together and figure out what type of creative personality type I have and how that can be used effectively in my career to kind of help grow my business. And that's sort of where the idea from Main Street Creative came from, in a sense, was being the builder personality type, being able to take people's dreams and inspirations and then make them a reality. Isn't something everybody can do. So when I figured out that that's kind of the personality type that I have professionally and creatively, I was able to step back from that and say, how does that work for me? How can I navigate that in my future and apply it? So kind of when you're there to think about the greater sense of like your purpose. BlissDom Canada, I know for me, a lot of it was spent like this because the sessions and the keynotes were so inspirational. Amazing speakers, Drew Dudley. Who else? Who inspired you that was there?
Oh, for me it was probably Ritea Parsons' father. I can't remember what was his first. I can't remember, but the session on the panel on media or etiquette, online etiquette.
The cyberbullying,
and hearing him
harassment online, like treating people better. Yeah.
That just it made me realize it was little things that were said there. I won't go into too much detail because there's
It's
but yeah, it was basically just how I looked at how I behave online, and it really sort of gave me a wake-up call. Not that I was doing anything like horrible, but just little things about interacting, how you interact with a company when you're not happy with how something went, and things like that. And it sort of was like a huge like, oh wow, like what you say online really does matter.
It was the kind of moment where we could check ourselves a little bit. Like we could step back and say, am I meeting my own standards right now, and how can I do that better? So that was awesome. And Neil Headley presented that awesome session. So thanks, Neil. So number 4 is tweet all the things. Follow everyone you meet. So if BlissDom Canada is like, I don't even know, if it's the thing you want to attain, then Twitter is the way that you get there. So when you're too nervous or afraid, or even just, you thought of something later, you wanted to tell somebody, tweet it to them. People will literally be doing this the whole time, and that's okay. They're supposed to be. That's what we're there for. And it's amazing how people can manage this and talking at the same time. It's actually kind of a fun thing to watch. But don't be afraid to follow people on Twitter. Don't wait for them to follow you. I actually had a process where every business card that I got, I saved, and then at the end of the day, on each day, I would follow everybody and send them a tweet saying, yo, what's up? Thanks for hanging out with me today. It was really great meeting you. I can't wait to read your blog. And then I did. I went and read their blog, and then if I thought it was cool, I followed up with them, and I built some pretty cool relationships out of that. And it also is just a great way to like not forget to touch base with everybody that you meet because it's so kind of in your face. Yay, Twitter. What about you? And I think leading up to BlissDom, it's also really important to stay online on
Mm-hmm.
Twitter, like be present?
For me, BlissDom was where I really learned Twitter. I wasn't really a presence. I had a Twitter account. Mostly I just made it to enter contests, and I wasn't really using it because I didn't understand sort of the point behind Twitter. So for me, when I going to BlissDom and just seeing how like when I saw the tweets, the live tweets happening on the wall there and everything, I thought, wow, like this is huge. Like I didn't realize just how many people use Twitter and how crazy awesome it was, and it really sort of gave me that push to use it on a more regular basis.
And as we've learned over the last year, Twitter can be an amazing catalyst for a lot of things. So what might start off as a brief conversation can turn into a really cool partnership. And you also can learn how to address, like just tweet at companies so that they take notice and stuff like that too, which is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. I'll tell you, it's the coolest thing for me was coming back from BlissDom and seeing Tim Hortons had followed me. I was like, oh my goodness.
I know. Yeah. I remember that they were really good at like favoriting all my stuff because I tweet a little bit darker comedy than the average person. So they favorited a lot of my stuff, but they didn't necessarily retweet it. I understand. Yeah. No worries. No worries, Tim. The last one is ditch the 5-inch heels. Now, there's sort of a like asterisk on this one because if you wear 5-inch heels every day, if you're that person, if you're Imelda Marcos or whatever her name is, wear your 5-inch heels. Nobody's saying you can't wear really hot Louboutins. That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is be comfortable because you're going to be on your feet most of the day. And although you want to look your best, and I get that, I want to look my best when I go. I don't want to look like I do when I'm at home taking care of my kids, that's for sure. But, I bring cute shoes for the parties and stuff like that, but for the most part, I try and maintain a semblance of style and comfort during the actual conference participation.
I think that's a great segue into the question I think we've been asked most often, what to wear.
What to wear to BlissDom? Well,
I don't think there's a right or wrong answer to this question. I think that is the fantastic thing about BlissDom is that you can show up in your mom jeans.
You're welcome no matter what you wear. You can show up in a muumuu. Nobody's going to care. Nobody's going to say anything about you. If you love wearing muumuus, you go, girl. You go, Glen Coco. You wear that muumuu. But at the end of the day, you have to be comfortable. But more importantly, you have to be confident. Mm-hmm. So if you're like me and you feel a little more confident when you've, made a trip out to the local favorite store and bought a couple things just to kind of work up your stylistic mojo, that's cool. No hate on that one because I definitely do that. I usually get my hair cut right before BlissDom. Also, there's like 1,000,005 photographers there. And you will be selfieing up a storm as well. So, if you're a fan of having your picture taken, then you might want to try and look nice for the events. But be yourself. Don't try and look like a starlet. Don't try and look like somebody you're not because, A, people will kind of see through that. I think when you're faking up that style and it's not you, that shows, right? Like, I'm not going to go in dressed like Coco Chanel, though I'd love to dress like Coco Chanel because I'm not. I'm kind of hippie, kind of rock and roll, somewhere in between. I don't know. So I'm gonna play up that style and that brand, and that's a really good reason to talk to someone like us at Main Street Creative because we can help you sort out your brand identity issues if you want to.
That's right. And then I think the question, I've seen a lot of talking about the different sort of events and what people are going to wear to the parties and things like that, like Throwback Thursday.
Throwback Thursday I think is fairly self-explanatory.
But you know what? That's the thing is that, I think people are kind of, wondering how far are people going to go with this? Like,
I was actually like jibing all the blunt moms because I was like, if I throw back to the 80s, I'm going to be in diapers, guys. I'm a 90s kid, so Jen and I are talking about doing a like combo Throwback Thursday outfit. fit, so we'll see what happens.
We'll have to see what happens. Yeah, maybe we can do like changes throughout. No, but honestly, like I've heard some people say that they're sort of going all out. I've heard some say they've ordered
And don't
costumes.
feel like you have to go all
But
out.
then, you know what? There's like I doubt that I'm gonna even like I probably will just go through my closet and see what I most resembles something from what I used to wear, which in my closet that's not hard because I kind of kept everything.
Still has stuff from that time.
But I'm probably just gonna raid my own closet and come up create something from what I already have. I'm not gonna go out and buy something, but some people are, and that's totally there's I think you're gonna see a huge mix. So really, there's no you could come as as you are now and just that's a throwback to yesterday. Like,
and I don't think there's
no
any
rules.
Yeah, don't take these events as like you have to, unless they said this is a black and white formal ball. Mm-hmm. Don't stress out about what you're going to wear so much. But stress a little if you want to. I stress a little bit about what I wear. And then
there's the other party, which I've seen that the dress is sort of casual, but I will be wearing a dress. I've rented a dress to wear to it, and because I love an excuse to dress up and go all out. I don't get to do it often. I don't think a lot of us do. So, but then again, the person next to me might be going in jeans and a t-shirt, and it's not going to be awkward in any way. Like it's literally just wear what's comfortable, wear what you want to do. If you want to do your hair and makeup all up and look like you belong on a red carpet, then awesome. Like it's.
I think you might have to wear your headset so everybody recognizes you.
I know, eh?
You should start putting in all your profile pictures. You'd be like, that Jen Perry, part-time telemarketer.
There we go.
Airlines person, but
there we go.
So those are our 5 tips. Get used to staring at everybody's chest. Don't be afraid to approach or fangirl over other bloggers. Take lots of notes. Tweet all of the things, and ditch the 5-inch heels. If you have anything to add to that, feel free to tweet it to us. You can even hashtag townhallchat. And up next, we're going to talk about micro sessions.
Yay!
Yeah! So being community leaders, in addition to us fostering the community atmosphere of BlissDom Canada, we're also conducting our own micro sessions. Yay! So, Jen, tell us about your micro session.
I'm doing a micro session on the fabulous and exciting adventure through Google Analytics.
Woo! I want to have like a thing here that says it's like most boring thing ever.
But it won't be though. I'm going to make it exciting and fun.
Not boring. I speak from experience. Yeah. My hat tip to you, buddy.
What about you? What are you doing your session?
I am doing dealing with negative backlash and haters. Because I have so many haters. No, I'm doing that because, as you might know, I wrote a blog that went pretty viral on Yummy Mummy Club shortly after BlissDom last year, and got lots of negative feedback. And in addition to negative feedback, I also got lots of really positive feedback, 10 times more than the negative. But we all know that the old adage, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Total BS. Words totally hurt. So how do you deal with that? Well, I'll tell you at BlissDom Canada. I'll give you a little sneak peek. Basically, be nice. That's the end of it. I'll tell you at BlissDom Canada.
There's going to be some awesome micro sessions, and I think that it's going to be hard, I think, for people to choose, and that kind of brings us into our question. So, how does a newbie? We had a question from Jessica from For the Love of Mummy. How does a newbie to BlissDom decide what session to take?
That's an awesome question, and although I wish I had the perfect answer to that one, my only best 2 pieces of advice are, 1, go with your gut. There's going to be times where sessions like the community leader sessions are overlapping, and then they're different tracks. So last year I took the creativity track, and my advice to myself last year, now in hindsight, would be don't do what you're already comfortable with. Because I went to the creative sessions thinking, oh, I'll meet other creative people, and I just ended up kind of feeling like, I'm already doing this. So I loved the sessions. They were great. Some of them were super inspiring. But for me, I would have been better off approaching things from a business perspective or an analytics perspective or one of the other tracks that were there that I'm not already more than comfortable in. So those two pieces of advice are go with your gut, but don't go with whatever's most comfortable. Go with something you actually need to learn as opposed to something that's just...
For me going in last year too, I was kind of crazy going through the list, and I made lists of the list. So when they released what the different topics of the micro sessions were going to be, I sort of wrote down the ones that I was interested in, and then I kept going through them, and I kept narrowing it down. I'm very sort of, that's how I think, and I have to do it that way. But for me, it was really coming to, I was looking at all these topics, and I decided that there was no point in me going for ones that had nothing to do with what my goals were going to be anytime in the immediate future. I needed to go with the ones that were relevant to what I was looking to get out of BlissDom.
Right.
So for me, I did the creativity track as well, which for me was fantastic because I'm more of an analytic thinker and a business-minded person. So for me, I lack in the creative side. So that was where I really needed. And then I took, like I said, I didn't even know practically what Twitter was before I went. So I took Chris Reed's one last year on social engagement, which helped me so much how to build social engagement, and that was what, for me getting out of BlissDom was mostly I wanted to go and learn how to network with other bloggers and things like that, and it was, and then I also wanted to learn how to talk to brands, so I took went on pitching, and it's really, I don't think you can go wrong with any of your choices. I think it's just don't be overwhelmed, and also remember this, that even if you don't get to take a session you really wanted to take, don't be afraid at some point in the conference to go up to that person who ran that micro session and say, I really wanted to take your micro session, but I couldn't get into it, or I ended up having, had to cut it for my choices, whatever. I would love to pick your brain on the topic, though. I can guarantee you every single community leader there will be happy to chat with you about it, whether they're at BlissDom or give you, their contact, and you guys can chat after. So don't feel like if you don't take a certain session, you're going to lose out completely on that topic.
Yeah, and I think I remember last year picking the sessions was tough for me because I was like, oh my gosh, this all seems so good. And I made a list of my top, 10, and then I narrowed it down until I got to my top 5, and then I just went with whatever was sort of available because, as Jen Powell just commented, there will be 3 different micro session tracks, I believe. Here, let me just make sure I'm saying it right. So she said there are 3 rounds of micro sessions you can head to on Saturday morning. Sign-ups will be coming shortly for you to secure your spot in the ones you want to attend. So when it comes to micro sessions, there will be Eventbrite sort of sign-ups going out beforehand, where you can sign up for the sessions that you want to take, and it's first come, first serve. I think some sessions have a waiting list, but don't quote me on that. So the earlier you sign up, the better for sure. I remember we were waiting. I remember we were on the phone, and I was at work last year, and I was like, what did you take? And you were like, I took this and this and this. And I was like, what'd you get into? And you were like, this and this and this. It was just kind of another exciting kind of thing leading.
Yeah, it was. And I was the one who was at the minute that they opened, I was on there, clicking, and the one that I wanted, the one I wanted had filled up. But then, yeah, there's a waiting, because I think what happens when somebody selects it, if what Eventbrite does is that, they're going, you're on a hold page or whatever, and if you keep refreshing it, if somebody selects one and then they decide, oh, you know what, I don't want that one, they'll throw it back in. So if it shows full right away, don't you can refresh a few times and you may still get it.
Look after a couple days, maybe that someone changed their mind.
Exactly. So that's how I ended up getting into one that I really wanted, and then I was it filled up really quickly. But again, if you don't get into it, don't sweat it. It's not a big deal.
That's the greatest advice ever. That's why I was kind of doing this when you were talking. So I was like, yes, that's genius. You really can approach anybody ever. If you can't make it to my session, although I will hate you with 1,000 volumes of hell, I'm just kidding. I won't be angry. I understand. Maybe you're not at the point where you have to deal with haters yet, That's cool, as long as you take Jen's Google Analytics session, because everybody ever needs to know Google Analytics.
That's
and if
true.
you don't, you're already behind. So I'm pretty sure yours is going to have like a 50-person waiting list, and I'm going to be the one. You know how everybody's nervous about sitting at the table alone? That'll be me on like community micro sessions. They always sing there like, lonely, lonely. It'll be sad. I'll be crying.
That won't happen.
Someone give me a pity sign up, please. No, I'm just kidding. A little bit, not really. So we got a little question from Karen, who works at Main Street, which is fun. Hi, Karen. And she said, how do you read all the blogs? So a lot of things I think that make people a little bit nervous leading up to these type of events or even after is, I just met like 400 bloggers. How do I possibly read all their blogs? And the short answer is you don't.
No.
What you do is the people you connect with, you go on, you read their blogs, and you comment. Comment your little face off, because that is how they know that you're reading their blogs. That is how they feel like you're giving something back to them. And just stick with the blogs first to read blogs that you don't like. And Jen has something to say.
Oh, no, I just said a comment's like a blogger high five.
Yeah. Super blogger high five. We love comments. Comment. All the
I think everybody has their own little way that they're going to do things when they get home. For me, I sat down because you said each day you went through each thing, and I can vouch for that because I remember you in the hotel room on your laptop going through each and every single card, and you were tweeting people and doing all of this, and I was still a little overwhelmed with it all, and I wasn't really sure what to do. People were handing me these cards, and I didn't want to like not do anything with them. So when I got home, that was sort of after like my 3 days of recovery. I sat down at my computer one day and I just basically said, okay, right now I'm going to go through each and every one of these cards, and I did. And I actually went and I through every card. I looked them up on Twitter, Facebook, and I went to their site. And I didn't spend a lot of time on their site. I just went to look to see, is this something that I would read? Is this something that I, would be interested in? But I did give everybody sort of a follow on Facebook and Twitter because I thought, a lot of them were following me, and I wanted to sort of share the love there. But not everyone will do that. A lot of people, I know some people who they have different, they only want to follow people that interact, with them and have that sort of engagement first.
Yeah.
And whereas I just thought, I'm going to throw all these people, I put them into a list on Twitter because that was one of the things that Chris had told us was that to have lists on Twitter, so I started building lists. I built like a BlissDom people list, and that way in TweetDeck I could see what everybody was doing. And then I made an effort to just go to everybody's site at least once, just to see what it was about. And then any of the ones that were like my favorites, and I was like, oh, I need to read this person's blog more, I bookmarked. And I just have a bookmarks folder that's called Blogs I Read, and I just threw the ones that I like in there.
And FYI, that's where all your Google Analytics direct hits are coming from, is when people bookmark your site or just know your URL really well. Because I know for me, like the blogs that I like legit read all the time, I just like, when I'm bored, I'm just like, hey, what's happening on Renegade Mothering? And then I go there and I nerd out for like an hour. So
there you go.
Shout out. Did you know?
We had another question sort of on the same topic. So Christy, Easy Being Mom, asked, is there any possible way that I will be able to do and see everything at BlissDom if I try hard enough?
Not unless you've discovered cloning, in which case let us know, because that seems like a good deal. It's actually kind of physically impossible to see and do everything. That's why you should also be following along to the BlissDom Canada hashtag, BlissDomCA, because you can kind of see what's happening behind the scenes. But it does actually give you a lead in on kind of like where you should be, what everybody's doing. For the most part, like the main days, there's not a lot of extra stuff going on. And as long as you're comfortable with the stuff that you've chosen, but the events and the sponsored suites and all that kind of stuff, you really can't miss it. Like you'll make time throughout the time that you're there to make an appearance and check it out and kind of like say, hey, what's up? And they're open a lot. And so you got to kind of schmooze. Schmoozing is very fun, by the way.
I think the sort of must do, like if you because you're not going to be able to, obviously the micro sessions you won't be able to go to all of them because you're only, I think, are they doing 3 again this year? I'm assuming it's 3 Again,
Yeah.
I don't know. Don't quote me on that, but so there's more you can, you're not going to get to go to all of them that you want to. If you're going to pick one track, so you're not going to get to see, all of the different sessions in that. But the things that you must not miss are like the keynotes and the panels, because those are just,
Anything that if there's anything else not happening at the same time, like if it's the only thing going on in the conference agenda, you should and must be there. Like, don't skip things because you need to go do a lap in the pool. Like last year, I missed the power hour, and I was so mad at myself because I took photos for a friend, and I was like, hey, I'd love to do that, and I was like, oh, this doesn't seem like that big of a deal. I can kind of skip that. And I
missed it as well because I had the grand idea, I don't even remember, that I was going to work while I was at BlissDom.
Yeah.
And at the time, I was working for another company from home, and I had committed to doing a little bit of work, not much, but I had committed to some work while I was there, and I don't know why I thought that I could possibly do that. I'm like, oh, I'll have my laptop, I'll be able to work while stuff's going on in the background, but that just doesn't work. And so unfortunately, I had to miss like a very kind of cool thing, because of that.
Same thing goes with the parties. I think a lot of people are kind of tired, and so they're like, oh, maybe I'll miss the pajama party, or maybe I'll miss Throwback Thursday, and then they end up hearing all about how awesome it was and how much everybody loved it, and this cool thing happened, and then Chris from Canadian Dad was dancing, and it was crazy, and and they're like, oh man, I missed it.
Yeah. So that's why I'd say go to as much as you can. Yeah. And then there's also unofficial, like after hours, people are getting together.
There's always hangouts. I know one of the days we went and grabbed food at some point, but there was really nothing going on. It was like you get a lot of time between the end of the sessions and the beginning of the parties to kind of do your own thing, get changed. There's usually about a 2-hour window. Hopefully it's the same this year. Yeah, so do we have any more questions? We have 15 minutes left, girl.
I think that was the rest of our questions that had come in.
All right.
Yeah.
Well then, why don't we tell everybody some funny stories from BlissDom last year?
Okay.
There was a lot. Nothing that's incriminating though, unless it just incriminates me, in which case I don't care. But
you know what I'm going to say? I'm going to add a tip to the tips that we added before.
Oh, tips. Hold on, I'm going to do like your segment lead in. Hold on.
Oh.
Pro tip from Jennifer.
I am going to say that if you can swing it, and I know not everybody can, depending on location, finances, whatever, and if you can swing it, even if you're local, stay at the hotel.
The last night.
And especially the whole time, but even, because some people commuted in last year, and I remember every single person that commuted in was like, oh my gosh, I should have stayed at the hotel.
Because one time, Jennifer Perry did we roll into our hotel room.
So what we ended up doing, and you don't have, that's the thing, depending on where you have to be and what you got to do, don't feel bad if you can't do it, but if you can stay the Saturday night over till the Sunday morning and then really enjoy that party on the last night, it's totally worth it, because we rolled in, we drove home after, which was just insane, and we were tired.
I have a new segment called Dumb Things Christella Says.
Okay.
I'm sure there'll be plenty to fill it out. But the first one is, last year, I said, I'm so excited to go to BlissDom for 3 days because I'm going to get time away from my family and I can actually sleep in. Cue laughter.
Yes.
If you think, honey, I'm going to get straight to business here. If you think BlissDom is going to be a fun vacation, it is. It's totally going to be a fun vacation, a fun getaway, but it is a working trip. If you are working in this industry and you're going to BlissDom, you're going to work in a way that's different than your normal work. You're going to be networking. You're going to be taking notes. You're going to be learning. You're going to be full of excitement. And you're probably going to dance your butt off at some point. And if you're anything like us, you won't be getting back to your hotel room until sometime well after midnight. So, and then breakfast is at 8 o'clock in the morning. So, sleep is not your friend during BlissDom, but that's okay because there's a coffee sponsor, and that's all that matters.
That's right. Drink coffee, lots and lots and lots of it.
Next week on Dumb Things Christella Says. No, I'm just kidding.
That brings up a little bit of a point. The sleeping thing is that if you want to stay at the hotel but you don't know anyone or whatever, find a roomie. I'm sure there's gonna be lots of people. Go onto the Facebook
The
group.
BlissDom Canada attendees Facebook group.
Yeah, and see if anyone wants to be a roomie. Everyone's real nice, and what better way to meet a new friend than to room with each other? Everybody sort of has their little quirks, and some snore, and some have like weird like bedtime rituals or whatever. And
What are my weird bedtime rituals?
I'm not talking about you, goodness, but I'm the one who plays Fun Run before bed every night. But
together now.
Well, yeah, because it's fun.
What
But
don't we do together?
I don't know. But yeah, don't be afraid to like do that, because it's you're gonna save yourself some money, because if you get it a room by yourself, that can get a little pricey.
Absolutely.
So split a room.
We're bunking up.
Yeah, we're bunking up. Yeah, we got 3 to a room with us. So
10 minutes ago,
spooning is optional.
Totally. We got a question from Jessica Terry.
Woohoo.
Asking, I am bringing a baby along, so I will be leaving at some point and then coming back. Will I miss much? Well, at the end of each session day, there is a grace period for people to go out and eat or get together or have a meeting or go bring their baby home. Totally cool. There's going to be time. You're not going to miss much, to be honest, as long as you go during that window. And if you miss a bit of the beginning of the party, it's really not that big of a deal. But
fashionably late
on everything. Yeah, you're just fashionably late. That's really it. Just try and make it to what you can. I'm pretty sure there's some sort of accepting grace for people who are bringing infants along. And if you're anything like Jackie Gillard, she brought her adorable daughter to the party last year, who pretty much killed it and became the life of the party. So you can always just bring baby along.
I think she danced better than everyone else there.
Yeah, totally. She was kind of killer. So shout out to Jackie and her daughter. So I'm just looking through the comments to make sure we didn't miss any fun questions. You have 10 minutes left to ask a question. Again, back to BlissDom tips. So what are some more tips we can tell you?
BlissDom tips.
Be yourself. If you're anything like me, although you are a bit of an extrovert, I'm not afraid to put myself out there. But I am a little bit shy in new social situations, in situations in which I might feel a little bit intimidated, naturally. So, BlissDom last year, I talked to myself sometimes, so I'm going to do an impression of it. Basically, it was like this. Christella, I know you're nervous about going to BlissDom, but you just got to fake it till you make it. If you think you're being over the top, that's okay. You could just be over the top, and people will just think you're weird, and that's okay too. Hopefully nobody thought I was weird. I was definitely extroverted. I did put myself out there, but in the end, I think that I worked hard at leaving an impression with people, as opposed to being too nervous to walk up to people, or being too nervous to start a conversation, or being too nervous in general. I really pushed myself to like go the extra mile. Sorry, shaky. And it ended up being a huge, huge impact for me, professionally speaking. So just fake it till you make it. That's my best advice. And
now, I have a question for you that you can answer, because I asked you this question last year.
Ooh.
As a newbie going to BlissDom, I hear all this talk about business cards. Do I need business cards?
Yes, you need all the business cards. I think I brought 350 last year, and I got rid of them all of them. Some people I gave multiples because they were going to hand them out to other people. But yes, bring business cards. And if you don't have business cards, I know someone who can hook you up. Right, Jennifer?
That's right. Just let us know. Drop us a line. We can get you your business cards, and we can meet you at BlissDom with them and be like, present you, be like, here you go.
A lot of people have been asking about media kits this year, and we do have to say that media kits are a really awesome thing. There might be sessions on media kits. I'm not 100% sure on that. If there's not, you can always talk to us about brand development and how to kind of take your blog more professional. That's really our focus as Main Street this year with BlissDom, is to really focus on helping bloggers identify who it is that they are and how they want to come across online and how they can use that in their content to foster better relationships with their readers and with their sponsors. So if you have any questions about that, you can ask us at BlissDom, because it'll be great, and we'll be there, and we'll hang out, and it'll be awesome.
Now, what information should they have on their business cards?
What information should you have on your business card? Well, your name. A lot of people ask us if you should have pictures on your business cards, and that's really a personal choice. I put pictures on my cards. I put pictures on Jen's cards. But some people are not fond of looking at themselves or feeling like they're putting pictures on their cards. So, totally up to you. Other than that, because it's a blogging conference, nobody's probably going to be calling you up. I would say phone number is optional, which is not normal for a business card. But website URL, email address, Twitter, Facebook, and if you're an avid Instagrammer, Instagram. For me, I have like a nice little list of all my little social profiles. And actually, on our cards this year, I'm gonna grab a card. Hold on, Jen.
Okay. Yes. All right. I can't leave the conversation. I'm the backup girl. No, but she's right. So now you gave a lot more business cards than I did. I think I came with 250 and I still had some when I went home. So you networked a lot more than probably your typical person. So I would say if you were ordering business cards, you would be safe to order 250. Like, because I know that they come usually 250, 500. I think you would be safe with 250.
Totally.
Unless you're like a total, like, you know, you want to have
unless you like business cards for everybody. Anyway, speaking of business cards, so this is what we have on ours. For Main Street, can you read it? It's a little bit.
Yeah.
So I say hello, and then it has our phone number because we are a business. Some information, and then on the front, our cards are individualized. So where mine is cute girls at a beauty parlor, Jen's is fun secretaries blowing bubbles, and it's all kind of along the same theme, which is neat. But I just wanted to show you our business card because I'm so proud. But yeah, so your business card. As on this one, we have our Facebook, our Twitter, and our personal Twitters as well. So in addition to our business Twitter, which is at Main Street CC.
And the business cards are good as well because when you're going to talk to the sponsors, right, you're going to want to, of course, you know, especially if there's a sponsor you really are excited about and you want to maybe work with or build a relationship with, you know, you want to chat them up, have a business card, and that is sort of like, yes, those, you know, sort of free cards you can get online are great, but there's going to be 40 other people with the exact same design as you.
Yeah.
So that's where I think if you're just doing business cards just to hand out to other bloggers, then that's not a bad idea. Like, I'm going to, like, honestly, like, that's fine. But if you want to stand out with sponsors and stuff, you're probably going to want something that's more individual, that's going to stand out, because they're going to go home with a huge stack of them, right? And they're probably going to do this similar to what we do. They're going to go home, they're going to go back to the office, they're going to take these business cards, and they're going to just sort of quickly sort of sift through them and decide, oh, you know, this is why maybe we'll talk to these guys or whatever. So
this is actually probably the one place where your business cards will be the most effective. So definitely a must-have. Media kits, like, that's something you can have after the fact.
I didn't have one last year, and I still ended up talking with sponsors after. So
yeah, and really, what it comes down to is that face-to-face interaction. As great as your business card must be, if you're not talking in a relevant way or approaching a sponsor in a way that takes their interest, then your business card won't mean much, obviously, daily.
And as sort of a tip of after BlissDom tip, when we're on the subject of sponsors, follow up with the ones that you really want to build a relationship with after, because that is where I actually got, you know, I went, it was great and all that while I was at BlissDom. I talked to, you know, you end up talking to pretty much every sponsor there, but like I have no need to work with a car seat manufacturer, for example, because my kids are older.
But I did.
But you did, right? So, but if you follow up with them, you know, great to meet you at BlissDom, and and then you can hopefully if you can take some of the knowledge you learned at BlissDom and use that to chat with them and see if maybe there's someone that you want to work with in the future, which is fantastic.
And don't forget, most of the sponsors are sending PR people who either work for them directly or work at an agency that they've hired. So that PR person might have other accounts that might suit you. So striking up a conversation with that person can be more effective than just with that particular sponsor. It's about relationships.
Yeah, that's a subject though for like we could do a whole topic about that. So maybe a future topic.
Okay, actually, since it is 10:59,
yes,
we need to talk about next week.
That's what I was just gonna say.
For those of you who are still watching, thank you for watching this whole episode. We're so excited to have you here, and we hope you're excited for BlissDom. Next week, we will be meeting with the one, the only, Jennifer.
Oh, you don't put me on the spot.
Sorry, I won't put Jennifer on the spot. We are meeting with Julie Cole from Maples Labels. So picking it up next week, we're going to be talking about how to blog for your business and how your business can be reinforced by a blog, but also how to be an awesome, effervescent, amazing mother of 6 children who are all adorable, running your own business, and just being the every woman, being the person who manages it all. And boy, have I got a thing or two to learn. So I'm really excited to talk.
And what a great company for the timing-wise back to school. We're all labeling things like mad, and I know I love all those different kinds of labels you can get. And I was madly labeling all my kids' stuff before they went back, and there'll be more stuff that I'm going to have to label. So
I don't know if you saw my Instagram post, but I totally parenting failed on the labeling.
I saw that. Painter's tape.
I'm going to start a new blog called Parenting Fails by Christella. Not a fail. I would say that's like a parenting hack.
Yes. Went out of labels.
So far.
You can use painter's tape.
When all else fails, painter's tape. Or Windex. One or the other. Anyway, so next week is Julie Cole. Same bat time, same bat channel.
We're excited.
And we're so excited you all joined us tonight. And please follow up with us on Twitter. As we just learned, following up is the most important thing.
And we can't wait to see you. If you are going to BlissDom this year, we can't wait to see you. And we want to talk to you over there. So definitely come up and say hi, and we'll come say hi to you. If
there's anybody who you should not be afraid of approaching at BlissDom, keep in mind, I am almost 6 feet tall, and I can be a little intimidating. It's me and Jen. Okay? So if you're nervous, if you're afraid, if you're hesitant to talk to people, if you showed up late and you don't know where to go, if you don't know where the bathrooms are, if you lost your mommy, if you can't find your cell phone charger, talk to us. We'll help you.
All right.
Peace out.
We'll see you next week.
Thank you for everybody for coming.
Bye.
Town Hall Chat Day. See you next Monday. Bye.